In this video, I'm going to be finding out how sometimes the smallest prompt can fix your biggest problems. Join me. Roll credits. Well, hi, Brian James, I'm Micro Four Thirds guy. I'm just about to go on stage next door before I put my stage kit on because I'm doing a gig tonight. But I thought I'd bring this video to you very quickly because I'm indebted to my colleague Ian Parr, who's one of my subscribers on the channel. And it just shows how good the community is here because I'd made my video about the Olympus E-M1 Mark II. And I said that I had a problem on that and also my E-M1 Mark I, where occasionally it wouldn't allow me to do certain modes. It wouldn't allow me to do multi-exposure modes, for instance, so you couldn't do a sort of a fast frame rate, you could only do a single shot. And it also would stop me from using other bits and pieces on here as well, insofar as continuous autofocus. And I couldn't suss out what it was. I knew I'd done something on the camera to put it into a mode which was locking those out. They were literally grayed out in the menu, but I couldn't work out what it was. And the only way I could find to actually get myself out of that was to do a soft reset. I found it very, very frustrating. So I put a little mark in the video previously, and there's a link to it above, my previous video about the OM1 in use in 2022. And I got some great responses. Thank you to all the subscribers and the non-subscribers as well. If you're a non-subscriber, why not? It doesn't cost you anything. Hit the little link below and you can be a subscriber. Join the merry crew. However, I was given lots and lots of directions in there to places to look at. And one thing Ian put into, he just mentioned that ProCap and Keystone correction and a few other things block those facilities out. Well, I realised this was something to do with me. I realised it was one of those little moments where the little light bulb comes on above your head and you realise something. I use Keystone correction quite a lot, but what I've done is I've actually assigned Keystone correction to the function 1 button. And I think you'll find I'll overlay some photos on here as to where you find them on the menus. But I'd assigned this to the button and I switch it on and off because if I'm doing pictures of buildings, I prefer to do Keystone correction in the camera because at least I know when I go home that when I've tried to straighten this building out, I've got plenty of space around. The problem with doing on something like Lightroom or Photoshop is you lose some of the shot. Well, you lose it on this, but what happens is you don't realise when you're 2,000 miles away from what the subject was that you can't reshoot it and leave a bit more space. This allows you to take that shot, you see the space, and you to compensate the time. So I use Keystone correction quite a lot. And I have it on the button, I switch it on, I can see the little adjusters, I can adjust the wheels to get the Keystone correction right in the horizontal and the vertical. And when I'm finished using it, I press the button, and that's fine. And that's great. Sometimes I'll catch the button. Sometimes you're taking photographs, and because it's just on the thumb part, you can hit the F1 button without realising. And, if you switch on the Keystone correction, just press the button again, switches it off. When I looked on the camera menus, though, I found that although Keystone correction wasn't being shown in the actual display anymore, it hadn't switched it off in the menu. In other words, although I'd thought I'd deactivated it by pressing the button again, it doesn't deactivate it from being enabled. And as well that's enabled, everything else stops working that I mentioned in those previous videos. So what you have to do, instead of doing a soft reset, you have to go into the menu and you have to switch Keystone correction off in the menu function. Simple, plain and easy. But it was that little prompt, have you looked at ProCap, have you looked at Keystone correction? And I thought, well, yes, I switched the Keystone correction off, but of course it doesn't switch it off fully in the camera. And it's something to be wary of. There's a few things like this. So if you are assigning special buttons, custom buttons, which I do, I use customized buttons an awful lot. I find that a lot of the button assignments that they put as default in the camera don't really suit my shooting style. So I always set it up on both my Mark I and my Mark II, because remember after, I think it was version 2 or 4, I can't remember which one of the firmware in the E-M1 Mark I, you've got Keystone correction come in. It is assignable to a button. I always assign it to the F1 and use it that way. But I've got to now remember to go into the menu to totally disable it if I want to use the other functions. Now, the other thing that people have said is about the video button. I've had lots of responses on this, and I'm still looking into this because I haven't had a definitive response to the fact that when you press a red button on the back. Somebody said about putting it in live view mode, which would be put it on the screen on the back rather than using the viewfinder. That may be a way around it. I haven't had a chance to try those, so when I look into that properly, I will report back. But it does seem as if you can do it. It's interesting that on the red button itself, you can't assign that as a video recording button in the menu. But the F1 button and the F2 function buttons, you can. Strange that. So you can assign the non-video record button on aperture priority or speed priority for recording, but you can't do it on the actual video recording button. Well, as soon as I find out that, I'll get back to you and let you know. But anyway, I just thought to give you this really, really quick update. Don't forget, if you enjoy this channel, subscribe. I think we may be, not totally sure, maybe over the 5,500 subscribers. We're only 4 people away from it when I looked earlier on. So we're very, very close to 5,500 subscribers. It costs you nothing. Don't forget to hit that. Give me a big thumbs up, please, especially if you found this useful for something that you on the camera. If you've had the same sort of problems, give me a big thumbs up. That helps YouTube's algorithms spread the video to more and more people so they can see it. And don't forget, there's a little PayPal link if you want to drop me a cup of coffee. Thanks to the people who have. There's loads of people who support this channel. It keeps the channel on the air. You've got no idea what the support does insofar as making things affordable to keep on doing this, especially with the price of fuel these days. So thank you all. And until the next video, keep on taking your camera out. Keep on enjoying taking your photography and keep on having fun. Bye-bye. See ya.